Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. I am so delighted you're here with me today. Today I am going to be talking to you about what to do when your soul feels weary. Many of you may be experiencing this exact thing right now. The energies going on in the universe are extremely heavy. And I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. And he just kept saying, I'm just so tired. I'm just so over it. I'm so tired. And I said to him, yeah, me too. Like, I get it. I've had a lot of things going on recently, and it's just a lot. It's a lot to have to take on. It's a lot to have to go through. It's a lot to process. And I think that every single one of us at some point in our lives gets to a point where we feel this weariness. It's not just being physically tired. There's a difference. You can be physically tired and still not be weary in your soul. That feeling weary in your soul is that feeling of, I can't go on. I can't do this anymore. I don't know what to do. I think that every single one of us can relate to feeling that way at some point in time in our lives. So today I want to talk to you about what you can do when you start to get to this point, or if you're at this point, because let's face it, we all get there. Life can be so overwhelming sometimes. Now, if this lasts for you for a long time, if it's feeling like you're slipping into depression, by all means, please seek professional help. It is nothing to be ashamed about, and there are so many people and resources out there to help you. What I'm talking about is not a long-lasting going on and on. It's not depression. It's just feeling tired and almost fed up with everything that's going on in life. Like when your soul gets this feeling of, why did I come here? Why am I doing this? What's going on? This is so hard. Why does it have to be this way? When you start asking yourself those questions and you start feeling that way, that's the weariness in your soul that I'm talking about. Again, we all get to this point because we came here to learn so much. And if you're listening to my podcast, you are probably a very much enlightened soul. And you're on this journey because you want to learn and you're trying to live your absolute best life and you're trying to learn and grow. And so you're more aware of this than most people. Most people go through lives just so busy. They don't take time to stop and actually look around and examine things and question things and work on themselves. And so they're just not really as aware or as sensitive to this as I think people like you are, who are here to learn and you're trying to figure this all out. And that can be very overwhelming. So what do you do when you get to this point where you feel this heaviness, this weariness in your soul, when you're just tired, when you're just done? What do? The first thing is you really have to learn how to surrender. And that's a hard thing because our human nature wants us to control every single aspect of our lives. Having control feels like safety to us, especially if you grew up in an environment where maybe there was some abuse going on and you didn't have control over what was happening to you. Then having control as an adult is extremely important. And I've seen this with so many people in my life who really had a rough childhood, then as adults had to feel like I have to control every single aspect of my life. But honestly, the harder you try to control things, the more tired you're going to be and the more weary you're going to feel and the more helpless you're going to feel because you honestly don't have a lot of control over much that happens in your life. And the reason is because the universe, we already had this blueprint. We came here to learn all of these things and to experience all of these things. You can't stray all that far from that blueprint. You know, when people say, well, that's destined. Yeah, it is. A lot of things in our life are destined. And we don't have control over that because we're not choosing it as we're here. So it's important to be able to surrender and to let go. To try to not feel the need to control every little thing. And there's some peace that comes with that. When you can surrender and say, you know what, I don't really have control over this anyway. I'm just going to let go, and I'm just going to let God, and I'm going to see what happens, and I'm just going to take a breath. There's a lot of peace that comes from being able to do that. It's hard to detach sometimes from outcomes, but when you can detach from those outcomes, that's when we cause our own suffering, is when we place expectations on everything. And then when it doesn't happen the way we wanted it to, we get disappointed. And that's an emotional toll. It's heavy. So try to detach as much as you can. And I don't mean like go cold and numb. That's not what I'm talking about. But it's the ability to be fine with whatever happens. Whatever comes my way, I'll be okay. Telling yourself that. Knowing that you don't have to have control over every single thing. Just do your best, and whatever happens, happens. Letting it go, that's going to give you so much more peace. You probably don't realize how much you're draining your own energy trying to control everything in your life. And you can't anyway, so stop trying to do that. Just let go. You might also need to start slowing down a little bit. We tend to get in these frantic moods where we want to get all of our goals accomplished. We want to do everything. And that's great that you have all of these goals. But stop trying to push yourself, especially if you're feeling weary and tired right now. That's your body and your soul telling you that you need a break. You need to take a time out. So slow down your pace. Try to do things with people you enjoy and do activities that bring you happiness and relieve stress, because that's your body and soul telling you you need to do that right now. It's also really important right now that you increase your self-care, and that kind of goes along with what we were talking about and goes without saying. But oftentimes when we get into this space where we feel weariness, we feel tired, we feel just done, it's because we've been putting our self-care on the back burner, right? We've been neglecting ourselves. Your body's trying to tell you something. Maybe you've been eating like crap lately. Maybe you haven't been exercising. Maybe you're not taking supplements to help with your body. Maybe you need to really go within and connect and do some guided meditations. It's trying to tell you that you need to get back to a routine where you're taking care of yourself. It's also really important during this time to reflect. If you're feeling weary, worn out, ready to quit, why are you feeling this way? Have you just been overdoing it lately? Maybe you're out of alignment with something in your life. Sometimes when we feel this way, it's because we're not in alignment with our soul's purpose or our path. Or maybe you've had a major trauma happen to you in your life. Experiencing trauma is really heavy on the soul. It takes its toll out of us. It's emotional and it can be very draining. So it's important that you take time to process that. And sometimes that means sitting down and asking yourself those tough questions. Why am I feeling this way? Did something happen recently that's caused me to feel this way? Or is it just a collection of things over time? And maybe that's telling me that the pace that I'm trying to keep in my life isn't realistic. Maybe I'm too busy. I'm working too much. I need to take time off. Maybe it's time for a vacation. It's telling you something. So take the time to figure out what it is. Maybe you already know. And if you already know, then it's telling you it's time to address the elephant in the room, right? I already know why I'm feeling this way, but I'm trying to ignore it. Maybe it's time that I actually sit and process this and figure out what I need to do. What do I need to change? Are there things I need to let go of? Are there things that I need to start doing that are going to help me to feel better? Sometimes taking a break from the news, taking a break from social media, those things are important. Sometimes we are picking up on everything else around us. If you are sensitive, you're probably watching the news, seeing the things happening around the world, and just feeling helpless or hopeless. That happens. And that signifies to you that maybe it's time just to take a break. It's okay to do that sometimes. You don't have to constantly be listening to the world around you being on fire, right? And it's not that you're burying your head in the sand, but if you're constantly looking around and seeing how awful this world is, then you're seeing how awful this world is. And it's not really like that. The news media, it's their job to highlight all of the horrible things that are going on because it sells. Fear sells. And yeah, I'm not saying there's not anything bad going on, but you don't have to make your whole world be everything bad that's going on. We can choose to see the good instead. I mean, look at the media. If you look at a news report, they will spend, what if they have 30 minutes, 20, 25 minutes talking about all the bad things in the world, and there will be a little 5-minute segments highlighting and spotlighting someone good in the neighborhood. Like, that's a little unbalanced, just a little bit. Again, that sells. But when we get sucked into that, or we are scrolling on social media and we're watching people fight over politics or over the pandemic and what's happening now, it's draining. You have to take a break sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that, again, you're burying your head and you're just not aware of what's going on. It just means that you choose your own emotional and mental health over the drama of everything going on around you. It's also important right now that you take a mental health day if you need it. I do that every year. We get 13 sick days, and every year I reserve one that I know I'm going to be taking as a mental health day, because you have to. You have to be able to just disconnect. And I make it a day of self-care. So I go get a massage. I go sit outside somewhere when it's beautiful out. I might read a good book, take my dogs for a walk. I do something that makes me feel better. It's important, and you have to. And maybe it's time for you to start taking some responsibilities off your plate. Maybe the reason that you're feeling this way right now is because you're overloading yourself with things that maybe aren't necessarily fulfilling to you. They're just obligations. Maybe you've always done things and you have to keep doing them. That's how you feel. And at any time in our life, we can choose to say no. We can choose differently. Even if you've been in an organization your entire life and it once was fulfilling, if it's no longer fulfilling, remove yourself from that. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why people feel guilty. Like, if I step down, who's going to take my place? There will be somebody to take your place. It's going to be okay. Don't continue doing things out of habit. When we get into those habits and routines, that's when we walk away from finding things that are really fulfilling for us, because it becomes monotonous, boring. Again, it's not fulfilling for us. And we weren't meant to just keep doing the same thing over and over again. We were meant to step outside of our comfort zone. Maybe there's a new organization that you can help and lend your talents to, and maybe it's something that really lights a fire under you and you get excited about it. Now might be the time to go and find that. Or just take a break. You don't have to volunteer all the time either. We don't always have to be doing something. Sometimes taking a break is perfectly fine. And you don't need to feel guilty about that. I tell people, sometimes I just sit on the couch and I just sit there. I'm not doing anything. I'm not busy. I'm just sitting. Because we have to do that sometimes. You have to take a break. Your body, your brain, your emotional system, they all need a break sometimes. They all need to be reset. If you're feeling really weary, talk to somebody. It's okay to call someone and to unload how you're feeling and to have a good cry. Venting your frustrations is healthy. If you don't have anyone, sit down and write it in a journal. If you don't like writing, because I get this all the time, I have clients who come to me and say, I don't like to write. It's okay, I understand that. It's not for everybody. Get out your phone and do the voice memo on your phone and just say everything you need to say. It's getting it out. You don't have to record it. You might want to just so you can go back and listen to it and reflect on it, but you don't have to. You can just get it out. Say what you need to say so that it's out there and you get it off your chest. Part of that is an emotional release, which is healthy, and you really need to be able to do that. It's also important because when you start to feel weary, sometimes we lose hope, right? We think this world's never going to get better. My life's never going to get better. I don't know what to do. It's like we've lost hope, and you have to have hope. Even up until the very last moment that we knew my mom was dying, I still had hope. And people might have been like, oh my gosh, you're so stupid. I don't care. You have to have hope. Hope is that thing that gets you through from one moment to the next. And you know you have an entire spiritual team who's there to help you. Learn to start calling on them. What do you need? You know, that's the perfect person, people, entities to have your heart-to-heart conversations with. Just in prayer, go to your team and ask for what you need or let them know what's happening. Our angels want to help us, but they can't intervene if we don't ask. And sometimes we don't even really know what to ask for, right? Just get very real and honest. Look, I'm coming to you because this is how I'm feeling. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I don't know what to do about it. Please help me. How can I start feeling better? Put me on the path of people who can help me. Put me in situations that make me feel happier, make me a better person. Start really opening up your heart and talking to your team, because we have a whole team of people, angels, guides, even our departed loved ones who are there for us and want to help us. Even if you just ask, let me feel your presence, feel loved, feel that hope again. You can always go to your team. Remember, too, it's important to take joy in the little things in life. What do you really love doing? Is it that you love listening to the sound of the birds in the first part of spring? Sit outside and listen to that. A good cup of coffee, sit down and enjoy it. Part of mindfulness is really being fully present in the moment. So as you're sitting there enjoying that coffee, really taste the coffee. Feel the warmth of the cup on your hands, how it makes you feel as you take that first sip, what it smells like. One of the things I absolutely love is the first time you open a fresh bag of coffee and that smell that wafts up from the bag. I love that. I'll sit there and stick my nose in the bag of coffee and just smell that. I've loved that scent since I was a kid, when I would go to the store with my aunt and they would have the coffee grinder in the middle of the aisle, and she would pour the fresh coffee beans in the grinder and grind her own coffee. That smell, that aroma that would come up. There's something comforting about that to me. So that's something that I love, and it's just a little thing. It doesn't take much, but it puts a smile on my face. Make your favorite meal and make sure to take the time and eat it slowly and enjoy every bite. Taste every flavor of that meal. That's what being fully present and mindful means. Doing those things, watching your favorite movie and really, really connecting to it and laughing at the funny parts or crying with the sad parts. You're really connecting and making meaning out of something that might seem insignificant, right? Like, I'm just watching a movie. But no, you're experiencing things. And as you do that, you're appreciating that, hey, I have the time to sit down and watch this movie that I love that makes me laugh. I have time to sit down and enjoy this cup of coffee, which tastes so amazing, and the warmth feels so great on my hands. And I'm listening to the sound of these birds who are singing so beautifully. You're enjoying and taking pleasure in all of the little things in life. And it helps to take your focus away from the problems of your life for a little bit, and instead focusing on the gratitude for all of the things that you have. Believe me, when you don't have those things, you really begin to appreciate it. Like when we were on vacation one time, and we stayed in this horrible hotel room. There was no coffee. The beds were awful and uncomfortable. It made us super appreciate going to a better hotel where there was coffee in the room, where the beds were nice, where there was a clean shower that didn't look like someone had been murdered in it. You know, you take pleasure in those little things, and it sounds silly, But when you go without, and that was just for one night, when you go without something that you're used to having, and you're so used to it, you don't appreciate it anymore, then you go somewhere where you didn't have that, right? I didn't have my coffee. I couldn't wake up and have my coffee in the morning, and that, even though it's not a big thing, like now I appreciate the fact that I have coffee in the morning that I can have. I slept on a horrible bed that probably had bed bugs. I don't know. It was gross. I appreciated sleeping in a clean bed that was actually comfortable, and I got a good night's sleep. We start appreciating those little things that we have in life. It makes all of that other stuff seem insignificant. And that's the point. We don't want to focus on what's wrong in the world or what's wrong in our lives. We want to focus on what's right. And there's a lot right. Yeah, I could focus on the fact that the last 2 years have been really tough. But I choose to focus on the fact that I have really learned to appreciate everything that I have. The people in my life, the experiences that I get to have, everything that I get to do. When I shift that focus from life's been tough to look at everything that I've experienced, look how blessed I am, it takes some of that weariness away, because I realize, and this is the final thing that I want to say, is that this too shall pass. Everything passes. It really does. When you look at a problem, you need to say to yourself, is this going to matter in a week, in a month, in 5 years? Maybe it will, but oftentimes it won't. So why would we spend so much time focusing on things that really, in the grand scheme of things, are quite insignificant and don't really matter? Just tell yourself, this too shall pass. I joked that I wanted to have this tattooed somewhere on me so that I would see it all of the time, because I needed to hear it. And my mom used to tell me that all the time. She would say, this too shall pass. And then I would start telling her that. You need to hear it sometimes, because in the grand scheme of things, what we make a big deal out of ultimately isn't a big deal. Even when we lose loved ones, even though it's tough, in the reality, we will see them again. It's tough getting through the rest of the time we have here. Absolutely, it's tough. But if instead of focusing on the loss, we focus on what we had, right? All of the great times we had, all of the love that was shared, we know we'll see them again. It's hard to imagine that it's going to be a while, but we will. And I truly believe when we get to that other side and we see them, it'll be like no time has passed. So just remember that this too shall pass. And if your weariness, if it starts feeling like it's getting to be too much, again, so many great professionals out there who can help you, whether it's a coach or a counselor. Definitely seek out some help. If you want to work with me, I'd love to help you. Just go to my website, melissaoatman.com. We can do a coaching session. I can even just do a reading with you, whatever. You're worth getting through this, seeing the best parts of life, because it's not always going to be bad. It will pass. Life is still good. It takes effort, but it's worth it to find the beautiful things in life, and they're still out there. All right, guys. Well, I wanted to pull a few cards for you today, and I pulled 2 cards from the Soul Truth Self-Awareness card deck by Brianne Hovey. And the first card is, what is my body telling me right now? Our body speaks to us through physical pain or discomfort. Our body sends messages for us to look more deeply. See the trapped emotions, the lurking fears, and beliefs that limit you. Listen to your physical body, and you will be led to the source of your pain. It's time to get on your healing. Today's soul action is get the book Heal Your Body by Louise Hay and find the answers towards your body is guiding. And the second card is, am I letting fear stop me? Are you experiencing a mountain of fear right now? Are you stalling, freezing, or giving up? The juicy secret is that you are the boss of fear. You are unstoppable, but it's time to see that by taking action. Today's soul action is today be brave and do it scared. Choose one fear and move through it. You are in need of a hero, so that is who you will become. I love both of those messages, and I hope that you were taking time to take care of yourself and to appreciate all of the little things that mean so much in life. And I hope that you have a beautiful day from wherever you're listening. I would love for you to leave my podcast some reviews, leave some stars. And also, I would love it if you would join me on Patreon. We have so much fun. You'll get 2 extra episodes per week. I'd love to have you over there. As always, I am sending you guys so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.